It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to Augmented Reality for October 12th. How are we in October already? 2021. How are we in 2021 already? Where are the flying cars? Where are the colonies on Mars? I should have thought this through better. Anyway, welcome to the show for tonight. My name is Ash. I'm here with Moon and Saib as per usual, and this is your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games in the gaming industry, coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch, and almost anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find the archived versions. We'll just
I do believe they call flying cars helicopters.
Oh, yeah, true.
And the bases on Mars are in sections 14, 23, and 61.
Why would they be so far apart from one another? It's a big hole in your story there, Obsidian. Anyway, welcome to the show for tonight. If you're listening live, please do say hello in the live chat and send us your questions and comments there as well. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. Likes it rough. And it tells YouTube and us that you appreciate this content. Also, we have a cat.
Yes, I've convinced Luna to come cuddle with me with a cat treat that she has been mangling.
Mm-hmm.
She's just going nang nang nang, unlike
often called a bribe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I bribed her to come sit with me today.
That's what you have. From what I understand, that's what you have to do with cats.
Yep.
You have to bribe them for love.
One.
You have to bribe them for love. This is why I'm a dog person. Dogs just. You can treat them like crap, and they still worship you. Not that I
love me, woman.
Not that I would ever mistreat a dog. I treat my dog very, very well. But they're so loyal. They're loyal to a fault. You know, it's probably their biggest flaw is that they'll be loyal and seek approval from people that abuse them and stuff. It's sad. So let's stop talking about that because that's depressing.
You know, there's an old saying that I have. It's like, if you want to find out whether your spouse or your dog loves you more, lock them both in the bathroom for 5 hours, and then when you open the door, you'll see which one is happy to see you.
Indeed. Hello to everyone who's active in the live chat. Hi, Sword Sister. Hello, Arturo. Trikieran, Mad King, saw you join the Discord server. Welcome there, yes. And thanks to everyone who is joining us live tonight. So we've got some breaking. I mean, it's not like live action, exciting breaking news, but some info leaked today about Avowed. So we thought we'd talk about that because that's the kind of game that we and a lot of our audience are into. We've got some other stuff to talk about as well, as you can see on the thumbnail and in the title. We're going to be talking about we're going to be talking about the big Twitch leak, of course. In fact, I think we'll start with that. A couple of other minor deals. First off, we have this one I pulled up just because I thought this was really rather funny. I found this article, How to Stop Far Cry 6 from Opening a Twitch Browser Tab When You Quit Playing. Apparently, when you quit Far Cry 6, it automatically opens your browser to Twitch to the Far Cry 6 page. So you can watch people playing Far Cry 6 when you're done playing Far Cry 6, because that's what you want to do when you're done playing Far Cry 6.
Yeah, exactly. You want to stop the game right before you do the big boss, because it's so super exciting, and you're going to save it for tomorrow, and you close down the game, and then you immediately get put into somebody else's stream where they're streaming the fight that you're saving, and you're like, oh my god, no, it's spoiled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do they actually? So when they go to that category page, do they have a stream up there, or is it just showing you other people?
I don't know. I'm just kind of making fun of it because I don't. I think this is like a level of greed that is honestly surprising Like honestly, so like it's like, wow, guys, how greedy can you get? Out of curiosity, just how greedy can you get?
I mean, I
And
don't
apparently
really
the
see how
answer
it
is a
benefits them
lot.
anyway. You've already bought the game. You're playing it. So, but when you close it down, then it opens your browser so you can watch people playing it on Twitch.
Oh, you thought you could go away from us?
You
Think
thought you could
again.
escape.
Microtransactions. I mean, that's really where I think it's ultimately going. Is like they build an entire ecosystem around the game, and then when you are trying to like when you're done the game in your eyes and you're kind of done with it, there that ecosystem will be there to constantly draw you back. That's my 2 cents on it. I don't know if that's the real reason or not, or whether it was just somebody who was really bad at marketing who doesn't realize that when you pop things up to people, I mean, this is one of those things, right, where it's like they wouldn't do it unless it worked on some level, right? Like bully what is it, bullying sales. Like it's not just high pressure sales, it's bully sales. It's like, hey, you need to buy this. It's like the guy walking down the street and he's like, hey man, I got a knife to sell. You want the knife? It's $100. You look at it and you're like, that's like a $10 knife. Yeah, it's a really great one. It was my grandfather's. $100. Give me $100 and you get the knife. If you don't give me $100, you still get the knife. If you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's that level of like. It's that level of pressured sales. It's always funny because I've had this happen to me once or twice, and my first response was I was carrying around a sledgehammer. I said, "All right, you give me the knife, I'll give you the sledgehammer. How's that?" That was a funny. The guy finally understood what I was suggesting, and then he took off running. But it's like yeah, it's this bully tactics of like, hey, you like our game, now watch our game more. This you more. You have to get into this more right now, more. And it's like, ugh.
But it's weird. It's just weird. I mean, yeah, there must be some reasoning behind it, but it seems weird to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I won't go through how to make it stop doing that. But if you are, if you're playing the game and you want to make it stop, the answer is out there apparently. I agree, Sword Sister, that it looks like pretty mediocre Ubisoft stuff. Again, I mean, it doesn't look all that interesting to me. The villain's really cool. Giancarlo Esposito, is that his name? Mm-hmm. Really, he plays a really, really awesome villain. And I mean, I'm not saying it looks bad, but it's just it hasn't looked worth my time thus far. But I mean, obviously, a lot of people are enjoying it, so there you go.
Yeah. I think they've. I mean, it's Far Cry 6, right? They have that process down to a fine. What's the word?
Fine art.
Yeah, it's like a fine art now, and people enjoy the game, so it's like, why mess with it, right? Like I wish there were a number of different titles that were that aggressive in getting new games out, new experiences out regularly, and we just don't have that. And I gotta say they've been progressing at a pretty quick rate as far as like the tech goes in the games. I mean, it's fairly the same.
Technically,
gameplay,
it looked very impressive. Yeah, I mean,
technically
there's
speaking,
nothing about it that I could
Yeah.
look at and say that's why it doesn't appeal to me, other than I'm just kind of like, oh, it's another Ubisoft open world game. If that's the kind of game you like, all power to you. And obviously, Ubisoft makes enough money that they're cranking out one or two of these every year. But if that's the type of game that you like. I mean, I've had people say that about games I like, that they just kind of look kind of meh, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
I gotta say though, I think this villain, this guy, he's probably one of the best villains, but he still doesn't beat the guy from number 3. That guy, that villain was like, he was like, I mean, basically he's like the Joker, I guess you could say. Maybe a little bit more violent, and I gotta say, it's like that level of like acting talent from that from the guy that they had play him, because they modeled it after him too. Like he looks exactly like the character, or he did back then, obviously. And they had that whole series with the guy from Superbad, the McLovin guy. I can't remember the actor's name, but they had this whole series of like running live action shorts with him. And I gotta say, it was genuinely really cool, right? Like it was genuinely really cool villain, and he was great. I think this one's probably one of the better ones they've had in number 6 here. But yeah, I think it's pretty darn cool. So
All right. Something about Randy Pitchford happened, and
please.
I mean, we're always hesitant to talk about these Gearbox and about these Take-Two 2K stories because
They're not with Take-Two anymore.
He's not with. What do you mean he's not with Take-Two anymore?
No, like the Gearbox, they got bought out. They're not with Take-Two anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like he cut and run from the company cut and run from them.
I did not know that. Who bought them?
We talked about it a couple months ago when it happened.
So I don't have to worry about goons knocking on my door. Okay.
Well, yeah, Randy never employed the goons himself.
No, it was our parent companies. Anyway, we're getting
they
way
got
off.
bought out by Embracer Group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Randy Pitchford left Gearbox Games to focus on Gearbox movies, but he's still the head of Gearbox overall. Do with that what you will. I don't see much point in discussing that, but we will discuss this. Diablo 4 has a new director, Joe Shelley, after the previous director departed, along with a whole bunch of other people amidst all of the lawsuit garbage and disasters that are happening with Blizzard. So I don't know anything about this guy, but he's apparently a longtime Blizzard veteran. So he's worked on multiple World of Warcraft expansions, and he was a senior game designer on Diablo 3, and has been on this team since 2017. And what does this mean for the game?
There is a Twitter account that is at Joe Shelley, and it's not verified. It has a picture of him. It has him, like, designer at Blizzard Entertainment on Diablo, personal Twitter account. He's only being followed by 248 people. And he only follows 100 people.
So he's not some hot shot in the industry that knows all of the.
Yeah, he's not a big name hot shot in any way, shape, or form. This is a guy who.
That's the cat, by the way. Anyone wondering?
She's like, no more treat, I'm angry.
Oh well. Any way we can get her to be a little quieter?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we are talking about Blizzard, so therefore,
I would be angry too if I had to sit around and listen to discussion about Blizzard, and I had no choice.
So no, there are some pictures of him showcasing, at various events and stuff like that. So, it's I am shocked that they pulled somebody who is really not that well known. He clearly he clearly has a handle on the thing, but to me, this is odd, right? Because they've had all this huge negative press. They've wanted to get obviously they want to get big names in here, but they couldn't in this particular case. Now, is that because they want to return to putting out the best products that they want to, so they picked the best person who was the best role within Blizzard to do, instead of going out a company and hiring somebody, or somebody new or old or something like that to come in and take the helm and make a big splash on that? This is not a big splash. This is a bloop. And again, I'm not insulting the guy for not being noisy. I think that just generally, and again, I'm not criticizing this either. I want to make that clear. I'm not criticizing his pick. I'm just commenting that it's strange because, I in a way I kind of agree with it. I think devs should be promoted from in the internal side, who are like people that have been working there for a long time, building things up themselves, so that we don't have this continual problem that we've had before with Blizzard, especially with Blizzard and Activision, where people with just enormous, what's the word, self. Like they really just take themselves way too seriously.
These big shots that fail upwards.
Well, the big shots that fail upwards are the big shots who they assault every female between the door of the building and their office every single morning, right? Like those kinds of sleaze bags.
Oh yeah. We want those kinds out of there. Yeah.
Maybe we do want a little bit less of that, and maybe this is a good move. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, if he does his job well, if he can pull it off, if he's got the skills for it, if he's got the experience, that's what matters. And also, hopefully he's a decent human being who treats his coworkers well.
Yeah. Now, the thing that I found interesting that I want to point out is the opposite to kind of like the point that I was trying to kind of like making was that they didn't go and hire some big name from the industry who has like 500,000 Twitter followers who could show up and like, I'm now running the show. You guys are going to have the greatest game ever. And everybody's screaming and going, oh my God, they got the guy from the thing. Oh my God. There was none of that. Even though that's what Bobby wants, right?
That's what he wants, but I mean, would they be able to?
Has been craving for decades, and now this finally happens, and it's like, oh, okay, well,
Would they be able to do that anyway right now? Does anyone want to go to Blizzard now from somewhere else? I don't think so.
Maybe the guy Jeff left a while ago. And maybe they've been looking and looking and looking and looking, and they had nobody apply for the position because everybody's like, Blizz, you're toxic right now.
Yeah, you don't want to taint your...
Right.
Yeah, I got hired by Blizzard. I was working for Blizzard right around the whole time when, that whole black stain on their repertoire, on their resume.
And there still is a number of rumors about Jeff himself. Like, again, they haven't been verified. I think there's a lot of people jumping to some conclusions on this stuff. I don't like how people have targeted Dreamhaven and some of these other companies out of ex devs at Blizzard. I really don't like that, the way that's been done, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that you can just say, oh, look, there's somebody who is slightly associated with the company that used to have these problems. I'm going to trash on them now. It's like, well, none of them have been indicted. None of them have been targeted. None of them have been, that we know of, has had any legal filings written up about them. They have done that to people who are not currently working at Blizzard when they made the lawsuits to begin with. So, why go after these older?
Let's not dunk on people who are
right. Exactly. So there was somebody who's pointing at Dreamhaven saying, "Look, they're all the problem people." It's like, well, you don't know that. We don't know that yet.
You know who did what? You work for the company? You were there? No? Okay, well then shut up unless you actually have some evidence that they did something. Same with this guy.
Right.
Like this guy looks like a nice guy. I don't know if he was involved in any of the crap that went on, but I'm not going to assume that he was. If he was, he probably if they had something on him, he'd probably not have been promoted to this position, because that would just be more ammunition for the people that are going after Blizzard right now. So his slate's probably clean, but you could someone could come along and be like, he worked for Blizzard, so he's clearly a...
At the same time, we can't say that 100%, because I have been told by some friends at Blizzard that one of the loudest people at the company, who's making the biggest waves about, hey, we're going to turn this ship around, and all those people doing all those horrible things, they're not welcome here anymore, and how dare you, blah, 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 blah. Let me get up my soapbox and talk about how wrong these people were. I have been reliably told by several people that particular person, and again, I'm not naming or quoting anybody, just so you're wondering, that's one of the more egregious problem people, offenders at the company, and they're standing on a soapbox preaching against everything that they did. Again, I want this stuff to come out in courtrooms where people, and especially the victims, can look their perpetrator, their assaulter, in their eye and name them directly with evidence. It's like that's how you make this stuff go away. Like, you don't, like, the public fear campaign that some people want to put on and, you know, just scare everybody. It's like that's not conducive to conversation, and that's not conducive to evidence where people are, you know, they're humiliated because of the evidence. And I think that's a really important thing. I've talked with a dear long friend of mine. He was he suffered some pretty bad abuse, and he said the most important thing in his life was the moment that he got to stand on the jury stand with evidence, point to the person who did that to him, and then have the court rule, you know, in his favor, like in his, as in my friend, not the aggressor. And he said that was one of the most important things he's ever done. And I hear that a lot from people who've been through similar things. So I think that's the kind of the way to look at it. So again, it has nothing to do with this guy that we know of. We want to give everybody their proper due. It's just interesting. The thing I found the most interesting about this is that there wasn't a big splash. This is not a big splash hire. This is an internal thing. And judging everything that we know, I think they wanted to have a big splash, and this isn't a big splash that everybody's waiting for. I don't know where Blizzard's at right now, other than the recent moves that they've made in Warcraft has been dismal at best, and oppressive censorship and controlling along the lines of like worse, as bad or worse than I ever saw it in the religious types that were extremely, they made stuff up about things they didn't like, and because they wanted to control what we as young people, got to play or engage with or anything like that. It's like, yeah, I never liked those people then. I don't like those people now. And they're the same people. They just changed their coats, like their colors. That's all. And now they're like, we're going to censor this because you can't have a joke in your game that's slightly crass. It's like, I've heard the same thing.
Well,
from two different sides of the.
It's interesting. And it used to be, it's religion. Yeah, well, clearly it's not just that. Clearly you get, people who want to control from all different kinds of ideologies. So,
and just touching on one more news story from Blizzard. They got caught trying to delete evidence of all these sexual complaints.
Shady.
And it's gotten so bad that California is rewriting laws when it comes to holding on to data and information and stuff like that, because they're sick of the two timing, the BS, this is the kind of stuff that happens. It's like, hey, the court says we want all the evidence that you have about possible crime A. And they're like, oh, okay, well, that's all on this computer over here. I'll give you this computer. There you go. And they look at it. There's nothing here. This has been formatted. Yes, it has been formatted. Well, you were told to keep this information secure. Yeah, well, we moved it over to a different hard drive somewhere. And they're like, well, can we have that? Well, no, because you didn't ask for that. You asked for this computer. So here's this computer. And this isn't the if this rings familiar to some people listening, this is because this is a standard tactic for this BS.
Yeah.
There's another
garbage.
big thing that I heard about this in passing, I think today or yesterday in the news, but it's the same kind of stuff where it's like wiggle words. It's like, oh, they're asking for our servers. All right, well, let's back up all our data to the cloud. Then we can wipe our servers and give them our servers and say, here you go.
We have complied 100%.
Semantics.
We complied 100%.
Oh my
Man. This
gosh.
is so, and again, this isn't just a single
dirty.
thing. This is how, multiple governments are starting to I say governments. It's not really the proper term. The law enforcement. When law enforcement asks people to do certain things and then they delete everything and they go, I didn't wipe it down with, a cloth or something. I just used a thing that deleted everything and then scrambled the code permanently. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, wow. Like, just wow.
Garbage.
What, like, how? It's so disgusting. And it happens again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And it's like, why? Wow. So yeah, it's a mess. And I don't think we're out of this. I don't think Blizzard's out of this. I don't think Activision's out of this. And it's sad to see that we were hoping that these developers would get a little bit more respect, a little bit more pay, a little bit more, power within the company to make changes, better healthcare. We were expecting all of this stuff to happen. And none of those things have happened, but a lot of these other things that make the company look like it's a better thing to invest in now, that's all been taken care of very quickly. But
of course, that's their priority.
But
that's
the
their
actual
priority.
improving the life of developers who are being paid so little that they have to live off of food stamps for food because all of their money is going into rent with 5 other people living in a 2-bedroom place. Yes. Yes. These B words are still not doing anything about that. Not improving anything like that. But, oh yeah, they're trying to get themselves back up, get that stock back up ASAP. Oh, it's so disgusting.
Well, they don't have any games to
Listen
sell,
all
so
these keywords, all these flash words that make it sound like we're doing something, but we're really not.
When you want to read the thingy? The thing?
It's like, Dustin Pease. Wow, California rewriting laws to benefit the people. That's a new one.
That is. Remember when I started on this, like when this whole thing started, I was like, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't, like, out of all the legal departments in the states, California is like it's I think it's number 3, like not upwards, like on the bottom. It's like the 3rd lowest. I have the least respect for like 2 other like states, and then California. It's like California is rotten. You have the biggest, most wealthiest people in the entire world all live in one state, basically in one state. Like not all of them, but like the largest selection of the top, like, top 1,000 people, richest people in the world. The vast majority of them live in California, right? So that's there. And then if you take a scale in the States and like, where are all the poorest people in the States? Most of those people also live in California. And it's like, you have this 2-tiered system of living where there's these basically oligarchs and then the rabble. And there's this enormous like separation between the two. And it's really disturbing. But anyways, moving on.
All right. Kite disapproves of Diablo 3, says Sword Sister. And rightly so. All right, just quickly touch on this one. So, despite Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix promising that it would never happen...
Oh no.
Never means for the next 2 years, apparently. After updating the game to nerf XP gain, they're now selling XP boosters in Marvel's Avengers, the game. So, for the 4 of you out there worldwide who play this game, you might be annoyed by that.
That is like, what's the point of playing the game if you can just buy your way up?
Well, they nerfed the XP in an update, and now they're selling you an XP booster. It's what's the point? Well, to get people to throw money at it.
I think, and anybody who plays the game or played the game, I think Polly's might have played the game at one point. When the game initially came out, it wasn't that bad, but then a patch came in and made XP harder to get, and then another patch came in and made XP even harder to get, and then another patch came in and it made XP even harder to get. I believe that was how the system went, and then they sat on that for like 8-9 months, maybe ish, and then they released the game, or then they released the paid XP boosters that don't even bring it up to where it was at launch, I believe. And again, I'm going off of what I've been told.
Do we have any idea how many people are actually playing this game still?
Not a lot.
Yeah, I know. We had a few in our community that were playing it, or at least
they gave it a try, and then they got very annoyed with it very quickly, and I have to agree.
Yes, for good reason. Anyway, so look at that. Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics lied. Big surprise.
Big shocker.
On to the big stories halfway through the show. So, massive Twitch hack this week. Massive security breach. This was pretty unprecedented in terms of the amount of data that was extracted. And apparently, security experts are like, what are you doing over there? How did somebody download over 100 gigabytes? So this is... Yeah, how on earth did someone exfiltrate 125 gigabytes of the most sensitive data imaginable without tripping a single alarm? That's some security expert commenting on that. I mean, very good question. How did that happen? Now, Amazon/Twitch. Twitch, if you're not aware, owned by Amazon, the same Amazon that, you buy batteries from, and they're here the next day, if not that same afternoon. Flown in by drone or whatever. The same Amazon that sent their CEO up in space in a dick-shaped rocket ship. That Amazon. They own Twitch. They own the massive streaming website Twitch. Anyway, so Amazon is saying, well, there was a server configuration error that was somehow exploited, and somebody was able to access all of this data, and it contains a ridiculous amount of stuff. It contains Twitch's entire source code. It contains like console and other, Twitch, various versions of Twitch clients for use on different systems. It contains info about creator, payouts to all creators. You want to go find us in there, see how little we have made on Twitch, you probably find that out. But the big creators, though, that's been some of the big news this week, of course, is how much the big creators are making, and millions of dollars typically just in Twitch revenue, not in terms of that doesn't include whatever they might get from posting their stuff to YouTube or endorsements or other marketing deals, that kind of a thing. But of course, we're talking about the top 1%, the top 0.1% of Twitch streamers make this massive amount of money, right? So honestly, I don't personally care too much about that. I really don't care how much Asmongold makes, but anyway, that info's out there. People are talking about it quite a lot. There's been concerns about security, passwords getting out there. The password hashes apparently were released as part of this, and the password hash. By the way, change your Twitch password, and also change your stream key. Reset your stream key. Now Amazon sent an email out saying they've already reset all the stream keys, but if if you want to be extra careful,
Extra
do that.
diligent?
So the passwords are not out there, but the password hashes are out there. That is the encrypted version of the password that gets stored on the server, so that they don't just store your password as you type it in. They use this hash that is, in theory, you can't take the hash and like reverse engineer it back to the original password. That's the theory behind it. Anyway, that hash could still be used for nefarious purposes. Just bottom line, go change your password. Be safe. No point in taking any risks, right? Mm-hmm. So a ton of other stuff as well. And including, well, something big that we're going to talk about in a second. But yes, so security experts very concerned about this. And then there was a quote from the individual who did the hack, apparently, posted the 125 gigabytes of data just out there publicly for anyone to download or look at. Now, where is that quote? Basically, oh, that's right. It's in my other browser. My other browser window. My apologies. Oh yeah, so the user posted the 125 gigabyte torrent link to 4chan on Wednesday, stating that the leak was intended to foster more disruption and competition in the online video streaming space because their community is a disgusting, toxic cesspool. That is what the individual who posted the data, that's why they claim they did it, basically. Now, as to who they actually were, we don't know. We just don't know that at this point. Was it a disgruntled former employee? Was it someone who works for a competitor? Was it just somebody who... Was it just some random guy? It's a very weird situation because, I mean, first of all, how they were able to download, both the source code and the creator payout data and all these other types of information all in one fell swoop. Mm-hmm. That was all stored together seems very strange to me. Seems like a bad idea from a security perspective, but also from a practical standpoint. Why would you have your source code sitting on the same servers or server group as financial data and all this other stuff? I mean, I don't know.
Well, part of that boils down to the fact that the majority of these companies, like idiots, have the majority of their stuff on the cloud now. I mean, we encountered a situation recently in which a company, and I have to be careful how I say this. So it was a situation that happened recently where a company lost access to their information through a network thing. And then they said, hey, we really need you to fix this right now. And I said, how would you like me to fix it? And they were like, well, just do what you do. And I said, all right. Well, first thing I'll need to access your information. And they're like, right, that's on the cloud. And I'm like, okay, cool. The cloud is currently down, so how would you like me to access your information? Well, so go on to the website. Yes, the website that I cannot reach
website
right
that
now.
is currently down because
and they're like, yes,
down.
Go there, get the information to share.
Wait a minute, we did not think this through.
Exactly. And it's like there was no way for them to do this in the way that they suggest. Like, and I'm just sitting there looking at them like they're a bunch of idiots, because they are. And I'm like, how did you think this would play out? Like, if you were curious, like, what happens in a power outage? How do you get your access to this information to save your company? And they're like, well, we didn't really, it's just that everything is on the cloud now. And it's like, it wasn't like 3 years ago. It isn't for some of your people. Why are you doing this now? And they're like, well, because we have to. And then once it was all sorted and they finally got everything back up and running, they're like, all right, well, that's cool. I'm like, now are you going to move some of this stuff to offline? Well, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have a couple meetings about it, and over the next couple months, we'll maybe make a decision on whether or not we want to continue moving everything onto the cloud. And I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Oh my god!
Like
so do I believe that some company, multi-billion-dollar company, is dumb enough, is so stupid that they're like, hey, let's put all of our information online and make it accessible to anybody 24/7, 365 days a year if they happen to have the right password, and or if somebody makes the wrong thing and it just becomes naturally available to everybody. Oops, my bad. It's like, brain, I don't know if you can tell, but my brain actually hurts talking about this because of the level of stupidity that these people in these companies have. And am I surprised about this? No, I'm not, because I assume that any company that's dumb enough to close out one person's account because they threw a cat the exact same way as one of their other darlings did, and they banned one person but not the other, and they're so blatantly stupid that they can't see why people are angry about that? Yeah. I wonder if they're that stupid. The answer is yes. They're probably that stupid.
That's another conversation that's been happening this week, is that, because there was also a do not ban list found in the data, and it had, just a list of usernames, do not ban label, and why they're not to be banned. And for example, the CEO is on that list, and it just says do not ban for any reason. I suppose that's understandable, but then some of the other, somewhat problematic streamers are on that list. And now somebody came out and said, well, the list is outdated, and it wasn't to say, oh, these people should never be banned, but it was they wanted to filter it so that they could filter out basically false claims about them, that kind of a thing. So that was one response from Twitch to the whole do not ban list situation, but it's led to a conversation about preferential treatment for the top streamers, and some of the double standards that seem to be at play. I mean, much as I don't agree with their tactics, I kind of, how do I say this carefully? Much as I don't agree with their tactics, the hacker's motivation, has some things in it I could agree with, if that makes sense. Of course, I would never condone, using this kind of a method to actually make your message heard, because it's just caused all kinds of chaos, and a lot of people who don't deserve to be hurt by this are getting hurt by it. So it's pretty disgusting. But okay, one of the other things that was discovered with the Twitch, the massive Twitch leak, was that Amazon either is or was at some point working on what looks like a competitor to Steam, basically a game store that would be integrated with Twitch, and it's apparently called or codenamed Vapor. And there was also data from some sort of a game or app called Vape World, which I don't know. It looks like it's apparently supposed to be some kind of VR chat kind of network thing, I don't know.
Let's totally just hang around.
Yeah,
Vapor.
Vape World. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah. Have you heard about this new plant-based alternative that's going to help kids stop vaping? They're called cigarettes, I think. Anyway.
Jeez.
Yeah. So.
I knew you were going to go
so backwards.
Dumb with
that. If you hate that joke, I didn't come up with it. So anyway, I read it in a meme. It was in the meme channel on our Discord server. It's one of One of the best reasons to be on our Discord server is the meme channel.
For the memes.
Lots of hilarious stuff there. Okay, so potentially this Steam competitor called Vapor is coming down the pipe. Now, we don't know if it's an abandoned project or if it's actually actively being worked on or what the situation is with that, but I want to get Saib's analysis and your thoughts too, Moon, on what this would mean for the industry if Amazon actually did this. Because unlike Epic, if anyone's going to take on Steam, I feel like Amazon could pull it off. Especially with the reach that Twitch has.
No.
If it's integrated with Twitch, they have a massive audience there.
No.
You don't think so? Why?
No, not in the slightest. Because everybody else has tried and everybody else has failed. And this isn't a case of like an MMO where, Blizzard literally, they didn't just shoot themselves in the foot. They put a hatchet into the foot. Then they staple gun the other, like with long nails, their other foot to the ground, and then they shot their kneecaps out. And then they're like, "Why can't I run?" It's like that level of stupidity. Yeah, okay, so there's that level of stupidity. That's not the case here. Steam is not doing those kinds of things. Steam provides a great service that is largely hassle-free. They have a great integrated community, and they go out of the way to make sure that they're on top of the game in like new tech for said technologies. Now, who's tried to build a similar Steam store and has largely failed to make that happen? Let's see. There was EA, Ubisoft, Epic. Yeah. There's a lot of big companies with billions of dollars that tried to do similar things, and it never worked.
Yes, but those were big game publishers. They didn't
It
have
never worked.
It never worked, but you have got a company behind this now that has massive experience and capital in the retail space, as well as now with the ownership of Twitch, the online game streaming space. That's a powerful machine behind it. It does not surprise me at all that EA or Ubisoft couldn't pull it off. Hold on. You've got Amazon literally rules the online shopping space right now. So why would it be absurd to think they might actually have a shot at taking on Steam?
They won't.
That's not That's not an answer.
No.
Well, I kind of look at it as like, what would their motivation be? Like, Steam is a platform that tries to give developers a space to hawk their wares and give users like a broad selection of stuff to pick from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas these other games, they're trying to either take over or push their own agenda, is kind of what I see. And like, people generally like to have a choice. People don't like having things shoved down their throats. At least in my personal experience, I don't like it when people be like, "Here, you need this thing." I don't need it, thank you. I will look for it if I need. No, you need this thing, and just it gets in my face, and I'm like, "No, go away. I don't want you." Like, so, yeah, I don't know. It really comes down to like the motivation of like the direction that they want to take it. Like, if they're just trying to create like more diversity and competition, or like platforms or whatever, if they've got like a really good deal for developers, like maybe, I don't know, I haven't really looked into it, but like I see this as kind of they're trying to become a super duper store for all the things, because one-stop shop, where instead of like being able to just choose.
Mm-hmm. Well, their motivation is money. I think that's pretty much, I mean,
that's where my concern is like, because their motivation is money, how much value are they going to give you in the service they provide?
Well, Steam's motivation is money too. And,
but
all of these...
They've got a decent system. They've got a decent formula for what they've been doing, and they've been quite successful
sure,
it's quite a long time.
I mean, it's about how you go about that goal. Are you are you trying to strong arm people into using your store because that's the only place the game they play is available, like Epic's approach, or do you make it just super convenient and easy and offer a lot of features and make it user friendly for all of Steam's problems? I'm not saying Steam's perfect or anything, or that the company, but Steam is super easy to use. It's got a lot to offer, and that's why I use it.
That, and I was thinking also, if they're trying to integrate it with Twitch, does that mean they would have it so that you can only access the games if you're online or if you're only connected to the thing? Like, that's also kind of concerning, because it's like, I like to play solo games that doesn't necessarily need an online connection. It's nice that I can just, like, download it, install it, and just go. I don't need an active internet connection.
It wouldn't necessarily have that. It wouldn't necessarily require online only. There are games in existence now that have deep Twitch integration, like right into the game. And, they're cool optional features, and obviously you need to be online to use those features. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be always online to play the game, basically. Not saying that they wouldn't necessarily go in that direction, but I think that largely comes down, because then they'd have to, if they implemented that at the store level, I don't think anyone would want to use that, really. Because there's a lot of developers that aren't, they don't put that in their games, that it has to be always online unless it's got a multiplayer component. Some single player games do, obviously. There are some, there's some developers that go down that road for some odd reason. Anyway, very interesting stuff. Maybe we'll talk about this more if it turns out that this Vapor client is actually a thing as an online store. We'll definitely be talking about it at some point in the future.
It's probably at least 2 years away right now. I doubt it's coming out anytime soon. From what I read, it was pretty early, bare bones. So and if that's assuming it's an in development project and not something that got abandoned. Like we know very little about it. In any case, I think it'll do better than Epic. Can we at least agree on that? It'll probably be better than the Epic store. You're listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast. We're glad for all of those of you who join us live at this hour, and also for those of you who listen after the fact, whether that's on YouTube or Twitch or any of the platforms that our audio version of our podcast goes out to. We really appreciate you all being here. If you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, check out our Discord server. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with the three of us and lots of other awesome members of our community about all the things we love to talk about and stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join, and be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. It's so weird. Sometimes I have these moments when I'm sitting here talking, reading my script, where I start to dissociate because I've done it so often now. And it's like I'm watching myself, and I start to find it humorous that I'm just sitting here saying words into a microphone. My brain is weird at this hour. Anyway, hello to anyone down east for whom it's already Wednesday. Great to have you with us at all. As well. All right, so one more big thing to talk about, and we will have to kind of rush through this because we took quite a long time on those other topics. Oh, by the way, go subscribe to our main Triple S League YouTube channel. Lots of other types of content over there. We only do the podcast here on Triple S Podcasts, but on the Triple S League channel, you'll find all kinds of other content. So we've got some details about Avowed. The Outer World, it says here, the Outer Worlds meets medieval fantasy. This is from the company that made the Outer Worlds, obviously, and it is based on the Pillars of Eternity universe. And they now have that Xbox money behind them. Obsidian does. That's the developer, because it's been a few years now, but they were bought out by Xbox. Back in the family with Bethesda now. Anyway, this report from Windows Central. They apparently had somebody reach out to them, somebody with
who's in the know, who gave them some info on Avowed. So we'll go through some of this here for those of you who are interested in this game. I definitely am interested in it. I don't do the hype anymore. I don't do the hype. I don't get excited. CD Projekt Red kind of nullified that side of my soul. Or perhaps you could look at it as I've matured as a gamer. I did enjoy the ride as far as Cyberpunk 2077 went, but not doing that again. Not doing that again. I've got other things to live for. Okay, so apparently Obsidian is likely close to having a working early version of the game. Many mechanics and core gameplay pillars already implemented. The person who is giving this report has apparently seen footage of the game and has some details to share. So, So there's some stuff about The Outer Worlds 2. We were told Avowed will feature multiple class playstyles and borrow from Skyrim's two-handed combat system. And that's kind of, when we saw the early preview for it a while back now, that's very much what it looked like. Weapon in one hand, casting spells with the other hand. And it looked actually quite awesome. You could wield two daggers and be a stealthy rogue, or dive into archery with a two-handed bow. You could use a combination of swords and magic and go full two-handed magic, which is required to wield some of the game's more potent spells and abilities. That sounds interesting. Actually requiring two-handed spells. Yeah, that's interesting. You don't see that a lot. Avowed will feature many elements that Pillars of Eternity fans will be familiar with. Wizards' spells like Jolting Touch, which can fry enemies with forks of lightning, will be present. Two-handed spells like Fireball are conjured using complex-looking hand gestures, but decimate enemies in a storm of magma and fire. I also saw status effects like Fetid Caress, imbuing enemies with a corrosive poison. That just sounds pleasant. Weapon enchantments are a big feature as well, with magically enhanced swords and frozen arrows, for example. Pillars-style guns may also appear in the game, similar to muskets and Arab arquebuses. Is that what it's called? Is that how you say that? Arquebuses? Found in the original two titles. Familiar creatures such as the lizard-like Zarips will appear, alongside much larger and deadlier threats, all the way up to wyverns and drakes. Okay. The combat seems to be more loadout-based than the Elder Scrolls, which gives you mountains of spells and a gigantic list. Warriors will get access to more physical attacks like swordplay, powerful kicks, and shield bashes, while casters will be given a range of spellbook options to customize and tailor their combat, with attacks bound to specific buttons.
They're really going all in on the Skyrim copy.
Yeah, sounds like
which is it's sort of funny at the same time, like, because when they started on this, when they started laying the plans for this game, they weren't they weren't looking to, like, there was no way in the world they assumed that they would be sharing bed space with Bethesda, right? They made this to kind of spit in Bethesda's eye because of all the bad blood between them. And then after they start the whole design process and building and all this kind of stuff, and again, I say that kind of like the whole like spitting in their eye. I say that somewhat not. Like, they're not children, and like they're people who just, they make similar games. They're good at it. They got shafted once before, so you can kind of understand why. It's not that much bad blood between them, but it is funny that they made this stuff to be a direct competitor, thinking that they can do it better, that they have a better, story world. That's why they did it. And then, yeah, you get them in the same company now. They are sister studios.
Well, hell, I mean, Elder Scrolls 6.
So weird. Excuse me.
It is a little bit, but honestly,
it's so
like,
weird. I'm trying not to laugh because it's one of those, like, it's just so bizarre. It's like, Timmy meeting his teacher in the grocery store. it's just this is so weird and uncomfortable. It's just like, how the gods of Olympus have fallen. It's just weird.
Well, I mean, it's. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem that weird to me. It just seems like, well, two companies that happen to make similar games have worked together in the past, and now they're in the same company now. But I mean, Elder Scrolls 6 is a long way off, and so I think people are hungry for this kind of game. So if this comes out a few years before Elder Scrolls 6 does, it'll probably do very well, especially if it's a good game, and if they iterate and innovate on the system as well.
Let people mod it, boys.
Sorry, what?
Let people mod it, boys.
Let people mod it. Yeah,
Let people mod it.
I don't think. I mean, I don't think that Obsidian has ever been anti-mod. I don't think they've put out.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
They
not
don't. I don't believe they've put out any official modding tools. I could be wrong with that.
No, they typically do not put out modding tools. They haven't had the time and or money. The modding tools were already present for Fallout New Vegas. So yeah, no, they didn't have a hand directly in creating modding tools, but it is something that they've always wanted to do, and they always respect the modders who work on the games, because they realize that longevity. If your game is forgotten in 6 months and nobody will be playing it in 6 months, but it sells really well, that is not worth it selling slightly less better, but then having an enormous scene where people continue to buy the game for the next decade, which is what we see, which is literally what happened with Skyrim. They released a different version of Skyrim every, 0.8 year or 1.2 years? I think it was 1.2, 1.1 years. They released a new version of Skyrim. And it's like, if you're a modder, and if you like the game and you like modding with the same mods and creating these elaborate mod packs, I mean, it's fun. It's engaging. You're always going to be busy with something. So.
All right. So the report continues here that Avowed seems to be a very a more colorful game in this person's opinion than Skyrim and Oblivion. I'm assuming that's unmodded, because you can make those games pretty darn colorful if you want to. Luminescent cave mushrooms, verdant forests awash with gigantic flora, hulking sunlit temples complete with skeleton-infested depths and tombs are plentiful. It came as a bit of a surprise given the game's original trailer, which seemed like it was trying to strike a much darker tone, save for the neon spell effects. Pillars of Eternity does seem to take environmental interactivity a bit further than the Outer Worlds 2, complete with... That's the Outer Worlds also, not Outer Worlds 2, which it doesn't exist yet, or isn't out yet. They're working on it. Complete with swimming capabilities, we've even heard of destructible environments using lit torches and fire spells to burn down blocked entryways. Fire spells leave areas coated in flames too, which cascade against walls and floors. This I really like. Too many games do not utilize it very well. The elemental, environmental interactions that, it should be... I like that area of a game being a sandbox. This is something that... Zelda Breath of the Wild did very well. This is something Baldur's Gate 3 does very well. Fire, lightning, water, all of these different elemental forces, if they're present, they interact. And sometimes it happens in unexpected ways, and you're like, oh, I forgot that this area I'm standing in is covered with oil because that thing over there leaked, and now I just blew myself up. I really like that.
I'll never forget putting I think it was in it's been in other games before, right? Where you get an oil slick and you put down a fire and boom, it explodes. But it wasn't until I played Divinity Original Sin 2 where I'm like, oh hey look, there's this black water everywhere That's weird.
Mhm.
Anyways, there's that bad guy over there. Oh, look, I have a flame ability. Let's use this flame ability. And then you literally just watch the entire screen blow up in flame. Your entire party is roasted alive, and as is everything else on the map. And you're like, oh, that wasn't blackish water. That was explosive oil.
Ah, yes.
Mm,
Wait a minute. Water's
okay.
not black.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, it is, depending on how dirty it is.
Well, sure. Yeah, I know. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, in games of the past, they just, you know, their engines weren't capable of doing all of those interactions. But now, now we are getting that more and more, and it's very awesome.
It's cool. I'm looking forward to it, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's obviously the comparisons with Skyrim are plentiful. Doesn't mean that I hope that they give it enough of its own thing that it's its own game, you know, that it becomes its own game and isn't just, you know, the I guess it's sort of similar to how the Outer Worlds was compared to Fallout before it came out. Although I would say this is closer to Elder Scrolls than Outer Worlds was to Fallout. But those similarities were definitely there. But the Outer Worlds, I thought, had enough of itself, like enough of its own identity, that I wasn't like, oh, this is a Fallout knockoff. It was its own game with some similarities and homages and stylistic features that were similar to Fallout, which is not surprising because the guys that made it invented Fallout. But hopefully this is the same thing. It has enough of its own identity that it's not just, oh, this is like Skyrim 5.5 before we get, or Skyrim 5, Elder Scrolls 5.5 before we get Elder Scrolls 6. All right, so if you want to read the rest of this for yourself, you can find it at windowscentral.com. That's about it for today. Just going to scan the chat windows here, see...
Fallout, speaking of Fallout, Fallout 3 got an update.
Yes, you mentioned that. So what does it do again?
Fallout 3 got an update 13 years after having been released that removed the requirement for, and I hope I get this right, for Windows Game Live Service. Sorry, Games for Windows Live Service.
That's still a thing?
No, that's the problem. If you were somebody who just bought Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition, you would boot it up and it would immediately crash. And if you were buying it from Steam, if you were buying it from Steam, it would just crash and you would be unable to play it unless you knew how to how to work around it, or how to pull up a guide that told you how to do a workaround for it. You wasted your money. The forums for Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition on Steam are basically just a wall of questions going, the game is crashing immediately upon startup. What's wrong? Like, why is this broken? It's been like that for a little while because people who have the new Windows 10 updates, like that's no longer a program, obviously, and it just, without its being able to verify that, it just crashes out. So it is the update was to remove it. This does break everybody's mods.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry.
Oh, fantastic.
This breaks.
I'm sorry. Why would you make your game dependent on some third-party software?
It was a condition of them launching this on Windows 13 years ago, which just goes to show: do not use DRM.
Studio. You 13 years ago, Microsoft.
Stupid. Waste of everybody's time. Waste of everybody's money. Treating people like garbage. For what? For what did it get you? What massive increase did that help you with? Did he I'm sorry, I might have forgotten, what was the massive games for Windows Live service? What was the biggest game of all time that used that? Oh wait, I can't remember because I've never ever had a desire to use that as a product. Ugh.
Yeah.
Dumb.
They couldn't even give it a flashy name like Windows Zip Awesome or something.
Zip-a-doo.
That's that's the best I could come up with at this time of night.
Right.
No, absolutely. That's ridiculous. Of course, Microsoft's the one laughing now because now they own Fallout 3 just outright. So
one of the first updates for the Fallout series was removing the requirement for Windows Game Live Service. Oh, that's so funny. It is legitimately hilarious. I laugh greatly.
Good. At least they did that and didn't just leave it in their broken state. By the way, GOG went and removed that was Hitman 3, right? The game that they released with DRM, despite GOG's anti-DRM stance. Mm-hmm. They've now removed it.
Yeah.
Update to that.
It's never about. It's never. I watched a lot of stuff recently about DRM. A lot of experts chiming in. People don't use DRM now for the lifelong thing. They basically only use it as a launch month requirement, basically.
Well, clearly, because it gets patched out, and after a month, somebody's cracked it already anyway.
Exactly, yeah. And it's there just to prevent game release day sales losses due to piracy. That's all it's basically there for. But
how many sales would they actually lose? That's the real question.
It depends, right? Because right now the piracy industry for game day releases is heavily crushed. Like, if you start up a website and you're like, hey, we're cracking all these games day one, get your day one cracks here, day one crack. You like crack? I love crack. Everybody loves crack. Yeah. If you did that, you would be descended upon by a team of lawyers from every corner of the globe, just laying waste to you and everything you do. If you stand there and go, hey guys, a 6-month-old game here. Who was a 6-month-old game? Cracked and ready to go. Everybody looks at you, like those same companies, they look at you and they go, you're small fry.
Yeah, that at that point, it's a very little effect on the bottom line.
The chances of them actually selling that game to somebody for full price is next to nothing. But something that more and more companies are starting to realize, if they let people play cracked versions of their games, especially young kids who are between the ages of 13 and 16, 17, and they like that game, they don't get them as a customer today because most of those kids don't have money to spend on video games. Mm-hmm. However, in about 3 years, 4 years time, they will have lots of disposable money to spend on video games. And so they have realized that allowing for a free-to-play system, preferably, or turning a blind eye to cracks, so that younger kids get, dig into their game. When they have more money, they view you in a positive light, and you say, here's $500 for this super awesome special edition that you have to buy 2 copies of at 2 different stores. They will do that. They will do that happily, and they won't complain.
For whatever reason.
Shocker. Weird. Bizarre.
All right. Well, that's it for the show for tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for being active in the live chat. Special thank you to our Big Damn Heroes on Patreon and all of our channel members. You've seen their names appearing at the top of the screen throughout the show. Really appreciate all of you. Please do slam that like button if you appreciated this content today, and subscribe for more. And check out, of course, the main channel. Check out the Discord server. All of the other links to Triple S League stuff in the description down below. This podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. We produce game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more gaming content. So subscribe for lots of content if that's what you're into. My name is Ash. On behalf of Sybe and Moontag, thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.